It is a tradition. I think it's developed in the Midwest.
I mean, I just think it's been ingrained now over the last, I'd say probably 20 years.
It's a tradition, and you're not taking that away from me.
So, gentlemen, what are your favorite NFL traditions?
That's a good question.
You know, I don't know. I don't know what traditions there are.
Perhaps we should better define what we mean by a tradition.
I think a tradition stands the test of time.
Call his hand. It is a tails.
Whereas a fad is something I think that comes and goes.
Let the dirty bird dance swirl.
Now that we have that cleared up, let's hear your thoughts.
Collisions, by far, is the greatest tradition.
I love the traditions of the Colts and the Ravens. Love the band.
I guess the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl and the flash bulbs, that's become a tradition.
Come to think of it, the NFL is chock full of traditions, but we've narrowed our list down to 10.
They want a show. They're about to get one.
Let's get started with something that's easy on the eyes.
The number 10 NFL tradition of all time. Cheerleaders.
Who's your favorite cheerleader?
I don't even pay attention to that.
You don't?
No, Al, I don't even watch.
Why
I'm
not?
watching the game. I don't care about the cheerleaders.
Why not? I mean, they play an important role.
They are athletic eye candy.
Smile when you say that, mister.
They look good. They're entertaining. They're vivacious. They smile when a team's losing by 4 touchdowns. Props.
I think we just enhance the intensity of the game.
Number one, every team should have cheerleaders. For no other reason than I'm a man. God bless cheerleaders.
TV guys do a great job of turning these slow motion film of cheerleaders into a scene from Baywatch.
I'm just going to start shooting cheerleaders. That's all I'm going to shoot from now until the end of the game.
They're hot. I mean, you know, it's a TiVo era. Who here among us hasn't paused?
Get excited, little fella.
In my younger days before I got married, I used to get distracted by cheerleaders all the time.
Stop looking at that cheerleader, man.
I've seen too many times cutaways on the sidelines, and ball players are looking at the dance line. You know, they're kind of watching their leg kick, and who can blame them? Birthed in Baltimore, the Colts are credited with forming the league's first official cheerleading squad in 1960. But what the Colts started was later perfected in the Lone Star State.
When you think of NFL cheerleaders, you automatically think of the Dallas Cowboys. Whether they invented it or not, you think of the Dallas Cowboys and Tex Schramm.
In 1972, the Cowboys' president and general manager recast Dallas's cheerleaders into NFL icons.
He figured by adding a little sex appeal to this, then that would even broaden the appeal of the NFL.
But not everyone was in favor of the Cowboys' new-look cheerleaders.
When the cheerleaders came out, the media asked Tom Landry what he thought. He called them porn queens. Next day, Tex Schramm calls him up to his office, says, "Tom, flip that switch over there, will you?" And all of a sudden, the film projector came up. Tom Landry's eyes get like this. He said, "Tom, that's a porn queen, not our cheerleaders."
While the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders may be a tradition unto themselves, other squads are gaining ground.
San Diego has given us some of the best cheerleaders of all time.
I'd go Tampa 1, Redskins 2, Bengals maybe 3.
My vote goes to the Raiderettes, no doubt about it. Something about that silver and black. I know, the boots. Getting a little too descriptive, aren't I?
The fans get so pumped up. I think we just enhance the intensity of the game.
While ranking squads is best saved for another show, our number 10 tradition would have certainly ranked higher on our list had cheerleaders still lived up to their namesake.
I mean, are they going to actually get the crowd to respond and chant and cheer along with them? Absolutely not.
To the outcome of games, well, they're not vital at all. To the entertainment, they're the most important thing there.
To me, they're wholesome, they're athletic, and they're classy. And that's why I put them in the top 10.
When it comes to creating NFL traditions, fans have played an important role. In Seattle, the 12th man gives the Seahawks an added advantage.
The fans will not sit down and they will not be quiet for the next 3 hours.
Our fans, they're loud, they're excited, they're over-caffeinated.
Back in the 70s, Steelers running back Franco Harris had his own core fans, known as Franco's Italian Army. A decade later, Cleveland's Dog Pound gained notoriety as a rabid place to play.
The Dog Pound in its day was a rough place to play.
Been besieged by dog barks and dog bones and everything else like that since we've come to Cleveland.
But when it comes to reputation, nothing beats the fans who make up the next tradition on our list.
The number 9 NFL tradition of all time, Oakland's Black Hole.
When you come into the Oakland Coliseum to play against the Raiders, you have to contend with the Black Hole.
Welcome to hell. You're going down, baby. You're an Oakland now, baby.
Insanity. That's the only way I can describe it. The Black Hole is just straight insanity.
Those people are not human, and they know it.
Crush them, baby. Crush them. Crush them.
Black Hole, great tradition, rabid fans.
There's a fine line between being rabid and being sick.
If the people of the Black Hole, the good, fine people of the Black Hole, if they would like to be on the list, they can be on any list they want because I'm not going to argue with them.
I remember the Chiefs playing there one time, and they're pelting the Chiefs with these batteries and golf balls, which gets really nasty.
Anchored in the south end zone of the Coliseum, the dark side of Oakland's Black Hole can be traced back a long time ago to a galaxy far, far away.
And it started with a guy wearing a Darth Vader outfit. And by him wearing that outfit, a lot of the fans started wearing all black in that one section.
But it wasn't long before our number 9 NFL tradition began to resemble a cantina on Tatooine.
When the Black Hole first began, it was more like a benign environment. And then after a while, they started to find different ways to stand out.
And like a visit to Mos Eisley Spaceport, a trip to Oakland's Black Hole can be fraught with danger for out-of-towners.
The Black Hole is, how would I put this? Not nice to visitors.
As soon as the opposing team comes out of the tunnel, they're on it. They're on it during the pregame warm-ups.
Tomorrow you gotta work, baby. Your play's crash, baby.
They're on it during the game. They're on it after the game.
I'm tired of this place. It's like a field trip to San Quentin.
Some people might go in there and might not come out if you're on an opposing team. So if you're a Chief or a Bronco fan or a Chargers fan, I would advise to stay away from that place.
But win or lose, Oakland's Black Hole remains a constant source of support for the home team.
If Al Davis would be honest, he would say, thank God for the Black Hole, because our fans needed something to do, especially in the last 6 or 7 years here, to occupy their time.
Yeah, you gotta love these people. Their team hasn't been good for a long time, and they still dress up like Darth Vader on steroids.
Pain, baby! It's about pain!
It's a complete freak show, but, you know, it's what they're trying for, and it works.
The number 8 NFL tradition of all time, pregame huddle.
It's like kind of like a battle cry. For those guys you're about to go to war with, you come in, you bring it together.
Can you feel that thing? That's squeezing out your doggone hands.
It's a part of the pregame routine now, and it's motivational, inspirational.
In this great book I read, a giant was defeated by one stone, baby. We are all together like a shiny new Escalade. Somebody cut your grass wrong. Somebody bumped into your car.
When it comes to pregame huddles, it isn't always what's being said that matters.
Now, there's a lot of Mississippi boys over there and a lot of more boys
It's a sense of security. I need you, you need me today. Let's keep touching each other. Let's make sure we feel each other. Let's make sure we smell each other's breath.
I'm all for someone huddling if you have something to say. But let's not get into a routine.
Used to be head coaches were the focal point of these pregame pep talks.
There's a gleam.
Do everything as good as you can, and then a little bit more.
I always look at the coach to be the centerpiece. He's the one leading these guys into battle. I'm the guy running the show. I'm the guy that should be in the middle of the huddle.
40 men together can't lose.
Let's get the gleam, all right? Let's go.
But as the years went by, players began to take on a more vocal role.
I don't know the heritage of it, but I think where it began was simply a matter of players initially will come out and kind of get into their own little groove.
It ain't no doggone tomorrow, fellas.
These players are now using these opportunities to kind of make a name for themselves.
I sort of trace that to Ray Lewis with the Ravens.
Ray Lewis has to be one of the great huddle leaders of his generation.
We control us. We run this. Anybody touch the ball, they get knocked out today.
When this guy goes to the Hall of Fame, there will probably be equal parts footage of his tackles and equal parts footage of his pregame psych-up huddles, because this guy does it better than anybody.
D-line on 3. 1, 2, 3. Backers on 3. 1, 2, 3.
These days, it seems quantity trumps quality when it comes to our number 8 NFL tradition.
You better start figuring in how much time you're allotting for these huddles in pregame, because there's a lot of them.
No, you don't need to overdo that. You don't need to have 1 million huddles before a game. I think a lot of stuff like that in football is incredibly overwrought.
While the number of pregame huddles might seem infinite, there is something reassuring about these pregame get-togethers.
When you see that raw emotion, that's when we realize, even though they're professional football players, they want to win, they need to be emotional. When you see that, you know that these guys are not just playing football for a paycheck, they're playing football because they love the game.
Please remove your hats for the singing of our national
In the NFL, there isn't a more patriotic tradition than singing the Star-Spangled Banner.
I like the national anthem. I think it's a great tradition before NFL games.
It's your left hand, Kendrick, so you can put your right hand on your chest. There you go, brother.
Honestly, it's very difficult for me not to get chills every time the national anthem's played. It's something I take a lot of pride in.
It was always a great moment for me. It was the equivalent of kind of gentlemen start your engines in the NFL.
While it's hard to top the national anthem, our next NFL tradition does just that.
The number 7 NFL tradition of all time, the flyover.
I love all flyovers. I don't care. Piper Cubs in formation, helicopters, crop dusters. If it's a flyover, by God, what we're about to do is important.
All the flash bulbs, the plane comes over.
Pretty good way to start the game.
And that's America.
There's a bomber. Is it going to come over? Yeah. The flyover could be the most exciting 5 seconds in football.
There's something about the sound. You can feel those jets going over the top.
When it comes to the pregame flyovers, that is something that you can see it 100 times, and the 100th time you see it, it's impressive.
It's always a nice little scare before the game starts, especially if I don't know what's coming.
Since its early inception, pro football and aviation have been linked together. But the spectacle of military flyovers commenced in 1968 at Super Bowl II in Miami, creating a tradition that continues to this day.
That's what I'm talking about.
It is the goosebump moment at an event like the Super Bowl. When that flyover comes, man, oh, it is just fantastic.
Something else, huh?
While many embrace the flyover as an NFL tradition, for others, it's an overplayed ritual.
I mean, my biggest thing with the flyover now is that it happens so much, so often, it's just not cool anymore.
We could probably cut our dependence on foreign oil by 50% if we just knocked the now mandatory NFL flyover in half.
I think it's something that can be overdone, but I think if you pick and choose your spots for it, I think it can be very effective.
Never was there a more appropriate time for our number 7 NFL tradition than following the terrorist attacks in September of 2001.
Right after September 11th, the Giants were coming into Arrowhead. It was very emotional just because of the time, and then we had the flower. It just, I don't know if there was a dry in the air.
It's the one thing that for me makes me remember how remarkable this country is. And to see the military might with 80,000 screaming fans, it is breathtaking.
I love it, baby. I love it. The number 6 NFL tradition of all time, Pittsburgh's terrible towel.
On a cold day in Pittsburgh, it's the Steelers and the terrible towel.
The terrible towel belong on the list of top 10 traditions.
You mean it's not number 1?
The terrible towel is twirling. The terrible towel is the NFL. It identifies you with a moment in time. The steel curtain. You think of the terrible towel, you think of those great teams. It's one of the greatest things in the history of the National Football League, and it's more than just a gimmick.
We got the best offense, the best defense, and we got the terrible towel.
Terrible towel. What more do we need?
They really want to know what Pittsburgh's all about. Just grab a terrible towel, just take a whiff of it, baby. That's what Pittsburgh's all about.
Look at those terrible towels flying, you betcha!
The terrible towel debuted in 1975. Steelers announcer Myron Cope created the towel in hopes that it would soak up all opponents in its path.
It will possess terrible powers that will keep the opposition from being in the football game.
And the towel is out. Feel the power, Myron.
Oh, I can feel that power!
I don't think another team has taken something like the terrible towel and been able to inspire their fans to use it long term. From that standpoint, the terrible towel really is one of a kind.
Other teams have tried, but no towel has sopped up success like the original. Well, actually, the terrible towel wasn't terribly original.
Longtime Dolphin fans might remind you that during their heyday in the early 70s, there were actually the equivalent of that, but they were white.
Isn't that great?
I guess they stopped that because they realized it was corny, so then Pittsburgh took it over. But somehow it's not corny when the Steelers do it with the terrible towel. And the Pittsburgh fans are all manly men. They just drink beer and, they don't talk to their wives. And they're just angry.
Legend has it, those who disparage the sacred cloth face grave consequences.
If you do something to the terrible towel, it'll come back to bite you. I believe the Tennessee Titans, got a sense of that.
Puts on a move at the 10. Touchdown! Titans! And there is your exclamation point.
If they want it back, they got to come to Tennessee and get it.
And then Pittsburgh gets to the Super Bowl and the Titans don't.
The Titans season is over.
One of the best moments here in recent years is when T.J. Houshmandzadeh wiped his cleats with the terrible towel.
That was the year that the Steelers beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati in the playoffs, and Carson shredded his knee.
Carson Palmer is down. Carson Palmer is wriggling around.
That's deep. Maybe you should leave the terrible towel alone as an opponent.
It's a whole just religion throwing that towel around.
God is on the Steelers' side.
People don't realize this. It's the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not disrespect the terrible towel. It's in there. Check it. Check the book.
So, does this shroud of southwestern Pennsylvania truly possess mystical powers?
The reason the terrible towel is so successful is because the Steelers win with it. It'd be great if you had a terrible towel, but if you lost every year, then what, you're crying into it? Who cares?
Steelers won more Super Bowls than anybody, so until further notice, terrible towel is magic.
And now, the number 5 NFL tradition of all time. Mascots.
Kids are such big fans of the NFL, it's about time we did a segment for them here on Top 10.
Hello to the kids.
How do you guys like the ball game so far?
Mascots are an NFL tradition kids can never get enough of. Problem is, we didn't interview any kids for this show. So instead, here's what some grown-ups think.
Mascots is a touchy subject. I'd rather not talk about that.
Does the NFL have mascots?
Mascots. Wow, I don't have a whole lot of strong feelings.
I don't even pay attention to the mascot.
Mascots don't belong in football.
Terrified. They should be completely banned.
Okay, we get it. But is there anything you like about mascots?
You got a mascot who's annoying people already. You know the players hate him. If somehow they get hit on a play, I think everybody's smiling at home.
In the early days of the NFL, having a live mascot was a smart choice.
I love dolphins. I think they're the most intelligent mammals that there is. Every time that the Dolphins scored a touchdown, Flipper would dive up in the air and dive back into the tank, and the crowd went wild.
Sadly, live mascots on the sidelines are a dying breed.
But for some reason, I guess the Humane Society or something made them do away with that happening. But, I thought that was great.
Not that humans dressed as animals was any more humane.
Hi there, how are you? We're a buffalo.
What's the matter with you? Holy mackerel!
The heat factor, I don't know how they stay alive in those outfits during the game.
Captain Fear is on the field in Tampa, Florida on Sundays in September when it's more than 100 degrees in Raymond James Stadium. And I just hope to God that that suit has central air conditioning.
A mascot's supposed to be stupid. It's supposed to be silly. Human beings that are goofy enough to dress up in costumes and parade around a stadium, that's where it's at.
But there's a trend of just sort of the big head, like I think the Cowboys had one of these guys, and I think the Patriots maybe. It's just the big guy with the kind of, vacant smile. I find those guys creepy, and they're soulless, and they're not funny. They're just kind of, something's wrong with that kid.
If you want a football mascot, give me the guy in Minnesota who dresses in the Viking costume. That's what football's all about.
Oh, Viking guy is awesome.
You gotta come out of puberty, grow some facial hair.
That Viking guy, he's nuts.
I poop things bigger than you.
He startles you. You're like, whoa, where'd that guy come from? I don't know what he's up to, but he definitely has my respect and attention.
Once you think you're on top of the mountain, you're done.
The number 4 NFL tradition of all time, end zone celebrations.
Good morning, class. This course is post-touchdown protocol. Today we shall examine the various techniques available to you after a tally in football.
It's showtime.
Watch closely as there will be a quiz immediately following.
Let me use this moment as my soapbox. It is a great tradition, end zone celebrations.
Whatever happened to the good old days?
What's the old saying? When you score a touchdown, act like you've been there before. It's gotten out of control.
This is flat out embarrassing.
I am a fan of creative end zone celebrations. I think that the NFL has gotten it wrong. I think they're fun. And I know you hear all these arguments from the moralists.
Disrespects the game and the history of the game. Act like you've been there. Act like you planned on doing it.
There's something to be said for the guy who scores and just hands the ball back to the ref. And there are like a handful of guys that still do that. So as long as you got a handful of guys that still do that, I don't mind the phone calls, the bowling pin thing.
You know what? It's entertainment when it's all said and done, right? We're not on Capitol Hill passing the budget.
It's an emotional game. We better show some excitement. That's good stuff. That's what we work for.
Oh, baby, can you dig it?
End zone celebrations were non-existent until the Giants' Homer Jones first spiked the ball in the 1960s. Little did he know what he would spawn.
I think the first one that really struck me was Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Started with the shoes and started that thing in the end zone.
But I used to enjoy that. Not when it happened against us. I didn't enjoy it.
I was always taught coming up, act as though you've been there before. When I first got into the professional ranks, it just so happens automatic. It was just automatic.
And then all of a sudden, that was replayed more than the touchdown was, and then it snowballed.
That will follow him around for years.
Once White Shoes perfected the art of our number 4 NFL tradition, end zone celebrations grew by leaps and bounds. There are so many favorites to choose from.
One of them I did like, the Fun Bunch, Washington Redskins, because it involved a multitude of players that gathered around in the end zone and celebrated together. I like that.
I like the Icky Shuffle.
The Icky does a one-footed dance.
Icky Shuffle was great. It was so bad, it was good. It was so weak, it was strong.
Celebrations jumped the shark when Joe Horn pulled that cell phone thing.
He went and got the phone and pretended like he was making a phone call to somebody.
A lot of people don't know this. Joe Horn's cell phone call was out of network during peak hours. That's what made it so. That made it so great.
That's a little too much right there.
They want a show. They about to get one.
To me, the best end zone celebrations were forged by Terrell Owens.
Touchdown 49ers!
I did like Terrell Owens' celebration on the Dallas Star because he got hit for it. That was good.
Oh, and somebody's coming over to tackle him. Look at this.
You don't like this one?
To me, it just doesn't get any better than Chad Johnson.
Chad Johnson, the Mr. Showman, got on a knee like he was proposing to Daphne over there.
The best one ever was when he did Lord of the Dance.
Chad Johnson doing a dance in the end zone.
That was better than Michael Flatley, for crying out loud.
Wait a minute. Don't you want to talk to me about Sharpies and stuff? Come on. Are you kidding me?
Yes, we can't sign off on this segment without mentioning the Sharpie.
Owens is there. He leaps out. He catches it into the end zone. Touchdown.
Terrell Owens playing out the Sharpie is still the most intelligent and creative thought to ever occur after a touchdown.
The only thing wrong with that whole scenario when T.O. did that was that he gave the ball to his financial advisor. What a letdown.
One of football's most popular traditions is the Gatorade dunk.
Oh, it's too cold.
This Aggie ritual began in New York in the mid-1980s.
I think it's become part of Americana in sport, and I think it's a little passé anyway now, so.
Because the Gatorade dunk has become such a cliche, we couldn't include it in our top 10. While dousing your coach may be played out, the next tradition on our countdown is still in vogue.
The number 3 NFL tradition of all time, tailgate.
I think you have to have tailgating. Tailgating defines what Sunday football is all about.
The recipe for a successful tailgate is a simple one.
Beer, food, fire. Okay, that's it. You have to have all three. You can't bring cold subs out.
Lion meat, baby! Ah!
And a little bit of Aquafina.
You can't have a tailgate without the beer.
When I think of tailgate food, I want to give a big shout out to the Polish people and the way they've taken grotesque animal parts and stuffed them into tubular shapes. I mean, really, without that and some mustard, we got nothing out there.
Tailgating is not quite what it used to be.
How do you expect these things ever to cook? Well, maybe they're frozen.
Stand around this side, we can keep the wind off them a little bit.
Tailgating should be, you pull up into a space, you pop open the trunk, you put out a grill, throw some meat on the grill, open a cooler, have some beer, maybe a folding chair or two. Nowadays, people roll up in these specialized vans.
And they invite their friends, they sit in their parking lot, they dress up. You spend hours upon hours before the game even gets going. You go watch the game and then you come back for some more.
Honestly, I think people now are just doing them because they probably have a better setup in the parking lot than they do in their houses.
Tailgate parties are a lot like when you see the old Celtic warriors, Braveheart, gathering before the battle to charge themselves up, put on the war paint, have a last meal, get focused, get crazy, take your underwear off.
So who's number one at our number 3 tradition?
There's nothing like getting out of your car at Lambeau Field and that smell. Everything else is secondary.
I've never been to Kansas City, and I want to go because I've always heard Kansas City's great.
Buffalo, New York, those people tailgate like it's their job, like their lives depend on it.
As the years go by, we like to collect a few relics, you know, from past games and stuff like that. This is what milk looks like 16 years later. These are my Raley pickles.
That guy's okay because he's not going Gucci. He's not going Williams-Sonoma, and he's not going French sauce.
This is one of my favorite relics. This is a potato chip bag we opened up during the greatest comeback in National Football League history. I always have one Raley chip before every game for good luck.
Other than maybe risk of food poisoning, he's probably got the right idea.
So why do people tailgate anyway?
Might be another reason to get away from the wife. Honey, I got tickets to the football game this weekend. I know you hate football, you don't want to go, so I'm going to leave at 6 a.m. for a noon Central game. Why are you leaving so early? Because I got Billy and Johnny and Antoine and all my best friends. We're going to hang out in the parking lot with a grill. We're going to cook food. We're going to have an unbelievable time.
The Green Bay Packers have plenty of great traditions. Here are a few favorites that failed to make our cut. The Packers have been going green for decades by riding bicycles to practice.
It takes great skill to ride these bikes.
Who needs field turf when you've got frozen tundra?
The frozen tundra.
It's all about frozen tundra.
The only thing better than wearing a wedge of cheese on your head is celebrating with a Lambeau Leap.
Antonio Freeman takes the trip to the stands.
All of these customs make Green Bay unique, but none of them compare to the next tradition on our countdown.
The number 2 NFL tradition of all time, Thanksgiving football.
Thanksgiving would not be the same without football.
What else you want to be doing on Thanksgiving? Rather than eat turkey and hit somebody in the mouth.
To me, Thanksgiving football is what I think of when I think of the NFL.
Football just fits with your house, with your family, with your turkey, with the football just fits. It's just part of the day.
Thanksgiving football is so good because you're giving men the 3 things they want most in life. They can eat, they can drink, and they can watch television. Honestly, the only thing wrong with it is that we have to watch the Detroit Lions every year. You get rid of them, this is the greatest tradition and the greatest holiday of all time.
Hold on just a moment. Without the Motor City, our number 2 tradition wouldn't exist.
Well, it actually started, as far as an NFL tradition begins, with George Richards, who was the owner of the Detroit Lions in 1934. And he was looking for a way to capture some of the high school, college atmosphere at his pro game.
The Green Bay Packers invade Brick Stadium for their annual Thanksgiving Day battle with the Lions.
So it started there, and it became a tradition.
Despite the popularity of Thanksgiving football, when the league looked to add a doubleheader in 1966, it proved to be a tough sell.
The NFL started asking all of their teams, would you be interested in playing a game on Thanksgiving Day? Would you be interested? Would you be interested? And on down the line, they all said no.
And then again, it was Tex Schramm. Yeah, we'll take it. And not only will we take it, but we'll take it every Thanksgiving in perpetuity.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
To satisfy fans' growing appetite for pigskin, the NFL stuffed in a 3rd game in 2006.
I think people now identify eating turkey, dozing off on the chair, and watching 3 football games now.
Gobble, gobble.
Like Thanksgiving, pro football has also had its share of turkeys. In 1993, the best intentions of Dallas's Leon Lett ran afoul.
Around at the 10-yard line. Jimmy Jones got the block and no one. Yeah! Oh, Leon Lett! Leon Lett! Oh, my goodness gracious.
Let's Blunder led to the most infamous second helping in Thanksgiving football history.
Sets it down. Kick is up. It's good, and the Dolphins win the ball game.
And who can forget the 1998 overtime game between Pittsburgh and Detroit?
Call it plays in there. Head call. He said heads. It is a tails.
Phil Luckett thought he heard heads, tails.
Bettis is out there yelling at him. He said, I called tails.
The first call was heads, and so I went with what I first heard.
I think Bettis changed his mind mid-toss. I think that's exactly what happened.
Oh, my God. That's unbelievable.
Bettis may have changed his mind, but there was no changing the outcome.
Snap and the kick, and the Lions have won the game.
When it comes to traditions, the long-standing relationship between the fourth Thursday in November and pro football is truly something we can all be grateful for.
It's absolutely a tradition. It's right there with the turkey as far as things that are just indispensable to Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, America!
Put down the guacamole and the chips.
And now, the number one NFL tradition of all time, Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Sunday, what a day. It's like a dream come true. It's unbelievable.
This afternoon, we're going to play the biggest football game in the history of Western civilization.
Whew. This isn't just football anymore. This is America.
Week from Sunday, America is going to come to a stop. The Super Bowl.
Super Bowl Sunday is still one of the great American traditions. Forget about football. It's one of the great things. That and, of course, the American Idol finale.
Our country's taking care of us and making sure we get to see the Super Bowl. This is a part of America for us. This is the reason why we're here.
To me, it's the ultimate American sporting event because it's all about who we are. We like big events. We like spending lots of money. We like violence. And there, it's all there.
The debut of our number one tradition didn't get off to a flying start.
The Super Bowl, when it first started, was kind of...
Just what this country needs, another damn football game.
But Commissioner Pete Rozelle was determined to get people to change their crotchety old views about championship games.
I think he saw, his genius was, that we're going to turn this into sort of a carnival.
The spectacle of it all was so far from what it's become that now it's for everybody. You don't have to just be a football fan.
It's one of those things that all Americans can unite and have something fun to kind of join together.
Super Bowl Sunday is a great American tradition where men and women come together to watch football. Having separated the entire year while watching games, now we're going to hear women's input on the game. And that's got to stop.
The world does stop, and whether it's to watch football or to watch commercials, it's a big party.
Ah, yes, the commercials.
I play the elbow. The what? It's a member of the Woodwind family.
A large captive audience may be an advertiser's dream, but others see it as one of the not-so-super aspects of the game.
I have a couple complaints with Super Bowl Sunday. Here I am. I'm going to be the grouch, all right? One, the neutral field thing kind of, to me, always kind of takes a little bit of the fun. The 2-week wait, probably a little bit too long. I could also do without maybe the 10-hour pregame.
That's what it's all about, guys. That's World Championships are all about.
Well, you have to realize as a football coach, you are part of show business. And the Super Bowl is the greatest show in the world.
And when it comes to halftime shows, to keep the audience glued to their seats, you need a bigger bag.
A football audience is going to be 8 years old up to 80 years old. So if you're going to play it at the Super Bowl, you need to be significant to generations and generations of people.
This is a Super Bowl, Coach. We can't hold nothing back.
Weirdest thing is when you play in the Super Bowl, you don't actually experience any of the Super Bowl activities. You come here to work.
We've worked harder than anybody to get here. Nobody can beat us in a team, and it's worth $70,000 and a big ring.
It comes down to one game. It's not a best of 5, not a best of 7. It's nothing like that. It's one game. And if you don't bring your A game, it becomes a tough pill to swallow.
God would come down right now. Terry, what can I do for you? Send me and put me back in one Super Bowl, and then let me hear my name over the loudspeaker. Let me hear the roar of the crowd. Bradshaw, Bradshaw. Let me have them booing on one side. Let me get in and call plays, see the eyes grow as I call these plays, and talk to them. Let me feel the hair on my back crawl up. I mean, that's what the Super Bowl does to you.
Back to throw Montana. Steps up, throws. Kick is on the way. It's good! Tyree makes the catch.
Santonio with a touchdown.
There's very few things anymore in America where everybody can talk about it the next day, and Super Bowl Sunday, guaranteed. Everybody watches the Super Bowl, everybody has an opinion, so everybody can gather around the proverbial campfire and talk about it, whether it's the halftime show or whether it's the game itself, and that makes it a phenomenal American tradition.
We're champions of the world, baby. They can't take this from us.
And we football fans will fight very hard to keep alive all of the traditions on our countdown. But as we ride off into the traditional victorious storm of confetti, here's a new tradition we'd like to propose.
I don't know, Mr. Obama, if you're going to see this, but I would love for you to consider honoring my request that we make the day after Super Bowl Sunday a national holiday.